And one of the guests who were pretty cautious last few days, Rohit Srivastava is back. Rohit, you have been sounding slightly cautious on the market for last few sessions. I remember interacting with you. This is on expected lines. Are you witnessing this, especially the broader market action today? And where do you see this heading to? The mid-cap, small-cap index setup, just for reference sake, can they decline 5-10% from here?
So surely, Ajay, it's a reminder, whether it's a stock market or a market of stocks. So when we actually put out an outlook and, people are only looking at the Nifty, then sort of they miss out what is happening below the surface. That is the participation of stocks and sectors was slowly going down over the last month or two. Definitely this thing has taken very long to play out because I've been thinking since January that you'd start a corrective process, but it didn't become so wide till now. I think 2nd of Feb is where the small cap and mid cap indices actually topped out. So it's actually a month since they made their top, and they haven't made a new high. Now the small cap index in particular is breaking the neckline of what we call technically a head and shoulders pattern. And that means that this is not the end of it because the neckline is at around 15,620. And that allows us to project somewhere down to around 14,500. So that's almost 1,000 points, maybe more down on the small cap index pending before we get a near-term bounce possibility again building up. So way to go. This is the month of March also, so it's the last year of the month, and once profit booking has started, I guess it will remain for a while, probably till the later part of the month. So this is something to be aware of, that the pressure may not end in a day. Will it also spread to the Nifty? That's the second question I'm getting, because early in the morning, Nifty was not selling off, and Bank Nifty is still positive today. So eventually it usually does. I did a comparison with what happened in 2018, a period where we've seen such divergences between the Nifty and small cap as well. But usually when when one is falling a lot, the other one eventually gives in. So it's not that directionally they'll not move in the same direction. If any outperformance has to happen, it usually happens when the bounce backs happen and one index bounces less than the other, and so sort of that's where the outperformance builds in. So that may be seen later in Nifty, if at all. But right now the setup, I think, is for even the main indices to slowly get dragged down, because imagine that whenever there are losses in the market, whether it's in the F&O space where we did have the highest, futures open interest last on expiry, and there's margin funding in, mid and small cap stocks. Moment there are losses, people have to, fill in those losses in the other stocks by selling their other holdings, which is in large caps. And that is one of the reasons why pressure usually builds up on all segments at the same time.
Okay, so if you can, my producer could bring out the mid-cap and small-cap index on a slightly longer time frame. I want to go back on that point because we can't go and discuss point by point the constituents of the small-cap or the mid-cap. In fact, Tanisha, I'd like to bring it to the fore that right now regulatory action may be the trigger on the NBFC part, and see how insulated the Bank Nifty is. But March factor, booking your losses factor, madness in SMEs, all of that is coming together.
And if
right
you're getting
now.
that AMFI and the SEBI note that had come
Correct.
on the small cap,
that there
right?
is frothy action in the broader markets. All of them coming together. I want to understand purely on a one-year chart from Rohit Srivastava, where do you see the supports on the small cap index and the mid cap index?
There are, I gave you a level on the small cap. Now, if I take a slightly longer term picture, it may be, I mean, you put in 1 year, so it may be hard to digest if I really get too bearish. But if you just go by the weekly averages, okay, what I spoke of is closer probably to the 20-week, which is at 14,930. But if we go all the way back down, say to the 40-50 week average, that will be closer to around 13,700. So I think that is on the Nifty Small Cap 100. A similar level on the Mid Cap 100 would be around 42,500. So I think those are slightly broader levels that we should start thinking about.
Point taken. Just in individual names, Rohit, I quickly wanted your take regarding MGL and IGL. And in fact, let's also add LTFH and Aditya Birla Capital. So these two big baskets, the City Gas Distributions and the NBFCs, which are the stocks that you would look at buying on these dips?
See, my view, the way these chart patterns are set up right now, is not to be looking at buy on dip scenarios yet. Let us get there. We don't know what is really happening. See, the NBFC space, actually speaking, even though the ones that have come to limelight recently on regulation, we've actually not seen great performance even by the big ones. Say, Bajaj Finance or Finserv have actually not been going up. In fact, making newer lows every day, even as the market was trying to hold up. So already there was weakness, I think, in the segment. Now it is spreading. Wherever news is coming in, it is specifically showing excessive movement there. So this has generally been a shunned space. In fact, even we've watched the banking sector where the divergence has been there between public sector banks and private sector banks. The entire performance was skewed in favor of public sector banks. So all these skews have been there. Private banks have not done well. They may be up today, but in general, on a 3-month, 6-month basis, they haven't really performed, and therefore the weakest performers actually remain the weakest performers, and that is not what you really chase to buy. What you try to buy into when the dip happens is what is going to hold out better than the others in the fall, and that's something we'll not know today. We'll know when we get there. So that would be the appropriate time to actually have that discussion.
That's the point coming in. Thanks so much, Rohit, for joining us today.